Mark,
Hey, Paul.
what you reading?
Night Terror Superman. I'm trying to figure out what happens when a man who can fly faster than a speeding bullet falls asleep behind the wheel.
He was driving? That's not a good thing.
Behind the cape?
Okay, exactly. We should talk about that, and we will talk about all of that and the other 4 issues that came out this week, but we'll do that right after this. Welcome to week 3 of Night Terrors. Before we get started, before I go any further, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload these
We're off to a smooth start.
These pearls of wisdom. And don't forget to make sure that you comment, because we will be giving away, at the end of all of this, we will be giving away the entire Night Terrors saga, and we will be giving it away. We will first pick which video that has comments on it, and then we will pick a comment from that particular video. So you don't know which one that we're going to actually pick yet. So make sure you comment on all of them. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us if you think we're right or we're wrong. Tell us how you feel. How do you think Night Terrors is going? Are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? We want to hear all your comments. But this is the first week that we don't have a Night Terrors proper issue going on this week. This is a skip week, so next week we'll have Night Terrors number 2. But as usual, we have 5 tie-in issues. It's 5. Count them 5. That's one for each finger and a thumb you got there.
Yeah, that's spot on. That is 5.
Exactly. And there were some pretty good ones again. I really liked some of these again. And some of them I was a little bit lost, but probably because I don't necessarily read the issues, the proper issues that came out with it. But let's start quickly with probably your favorite. No? Oh, good. Okay.
Surprisingly, there wasn't. Now, Superman was a super solid issue. Okay. This was really fun. You want me to break it down?
Go for it.
Are we going through page by page through all 5 of these, or are we just going to synopsis them?
No, I think we should synopsize. I just made
Otherwise, we'd be here for an hour. But The premise of this one is Superman is flying. He's leaving the Hall of Justice after the events from Night Terrors proper kicked off. And he's going on to the next thing to save the day when the big dream wave hits and puts him to sleep. And as he's falling from the sky, he's experiencing his nightmare, which is fantastic. Like little tour through the eras and the decades with countless Easter eggs. I mean, you could probably count them, but there was a lot of some very iconic imagery and stuff that's happened from Superman's past, like Giant Lizard Jimmy and stuff like that. And he's not noticing it at first, but that's how us, the reader, get to realize like this is most certainly his dream sequence from all these big like milestones in Superman's history and stuff. And it gets to the point where he eventually lands in the water, so he doesn't have some kind of a like crisis landing in the middle of a city like an atomic bomb or anything. But he does quickly experience and interact with insomnia, which is becoming the common thread for our Trinity characters. It seems like the main characters, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman Night Terror books, lend heavily to the primary story, and they interact directly with insomnia.
Yes, we get a picture of a truly terrifying. You can do that, right?
Yeah, this was probably the coolest angle of the story that they take right here. Right. So Insomnia tries to start messing with his mind, showing him the inevitable future that he is going to be the last man standing, not just on his planet, but in the universe. Because of who he is and how he exists, he's going to outlive everyone and everything he ever loves. And he was not sent to Earth to be its savior, nor to be the last son of Krypton. He was sent as its harbinger of doom. And this was the inevitable future that he has to look forward to. And he responded as Superman would. He's like, you think you're the first person to try to play my fears against me? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was kind of cool, though. He says to him that you were not Earth's savior. You were a bullet fired directly at the Earth.
They're like, you think you're the first person to try this? I'm like, that was such a smooth line. It was delivered fantastic. So,
right, and then we get, if we're to believe it, again, we may find that this actually doesn't happen in the second issue, but that people are now that some characters can actually go between some dreams because we see Supergirl who basically punches her way, as she says she punches her way out of her dream and ends up into his or her nightmare.
Yeah, while he was dealing with this conversation with Insomnia, looking at this inevitable future, a crack happens in his dream's reality. And was it Kara or was it Power Girl? I can't remember anymore. It had the jacket on, would made me think it was Power Girl.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure it was Kara. So
Kara busts through
because she has the S and
okay. Not the boob. She has the S. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And she's being chased by an infinity of her versions from the past.
Of like nightmare versions of her past. That's right. We got to get away from them, and that's going to lead directly into Action Comics, where we already know, if you check the solicitations, that Action Comics next week is going to pivot specifically to the Super family. So we're going to probably see where she just came from in next week's issue of Action, or maybe see them moving forward through this together.
Right, and so Superman ends up washing up on the beach, and then we see there's some dialogue where we don't see who's speaking it, and we come to find out that at the very end that Aquaman and Mera and Aqualad and Tempest and everybody else, apparently they have not been, either they are part of the dream and we don't know it yet, or they have not been affected by this.
So super excited. I popped for Aquaman. I don't know why. I think it's because there's a drought. We don't have enough Aquaman. But when we got the big reveal, Atlanteans are not affected by this.
Right.
There's about to be an Atlantean invasion against all these nightmare creations that have manifested in reality. And that, yes, let's go.
Okay, so if Superman wasn't your favorite, then I'm going to guess this one maybe.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Still no. Oh, I thought this one, because this one had Justice League Dark in it.
It was fantastic. Great issue. And again, if you're focusing on the Trinity characters, they lend heavily to the story where Superman was interacting with Insomnia. Specifically, you cut over to Wonder Woman. We're still at the scene of the crime. We're still pretty much in the Hall of Justice, just like with Zatanna. And some of the main, I guess because they're closest to the scene, we're kind of getting to see more important side characters for Insomnia in a way. But we see her and Detective Chimp trying to get to safety and get their bearings and stuff like that. But we immediately have the entrance of John Constantine, and they're traversing their way through the magic underdwellings of the Hall of Justice, where the Justice League Dark are. And they come to a labyrinth with a Minotaur, and they start talking about how we're going to hold on to Lasso of Truth because all of our fears are becoming manifest, and we don't want to get lost in the sauce kind of thing. And they get lost in the sauce. They get down some scary rabbit holes. And most notably, we get to see Constantine make it to what almost looks like a paradise, where he sees Zatanna and Swamp Thing's there, and some absolutely amazing artwork in this one. Like, amazing. And they're all talking about John Constantine in the past tense, and he's screaming, "I'm right here, can't you see me?" kind of thing. And just kind of, again, just gets lost into the nightmare kind of thing, dealing with his fear. And Wonder Woman is dealing directly with one of the creatures that have been manifested, which is almost like a nightmare version of herself, this harbinger of war and wrath looking thing. And they're just fighting their way through this.
Yeah. And, she's fighting a version of her that is like Medusa, too, because it has the snakes for hair and everything. And so she's fighting that. And it ends up becoming just one huge, as she's fighting it, it ends up becoming just one huge snake, which basically encircles her. And Detective Chimp is just kind of looking on. But we see at the very end, the snake kind of grab her in its huge mouth, and with Detective Chimp, screaming her name, that's where it's going to pick up in the next issue.
And this was an action-packed issue, but notably for me, one of the best moments has to be the character interactions with each other, because the Justice League Dark is fantastic for that. And when you have Constantine, Diana, and Bobo walking together, John's just kind of doing his regular old trash talk, telling everyone, like, these are going to be your fears manifested, so don't think about. And he goes down a laundry list of stuff that he assumes Detective Chimp would be afraid of because he's an ape. And next thing you know, those things are manifesting and they have to deal with it, which was hilarious, I thought.
Right. And then there was a very short backup story with Nubia, which honestly, I'm
I
not really
skipped
sure
it
what it,
too.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
not
good.
even wasting my time. I read the
So
Wonder Woman one. It was good. Check it out. Got
yeah,
plenty of content in it.
this one was my favorite.
I thought it was trash, so you can take it.
Really?
I thought this was trash.
Oh no, I liked it. We find
I don't read
Nightwing is
Nightwing though.
yeah. Well, this really has no connection to Nightwing, really,
Okay.
the main story. So, but I really did enjoy this. This was it's not something that we haven't seen before necessarily, so it's not really cutting any new territory. But we basically have Nightwing in Arkham Asylum. He's being drugged. He's being, kept, kind of out of it so that he doesn't fight back. And we find that he's there because of what he did, but he does not remember what it was that he did. And so, we see these, what to me look like kind of
Professor Pig.
henchmen of Professor Pig,
Mm.
who are the ones that are, injecting him and have him tied to the medical table and everything.
Yeah, it looked like
And
all the orderlies were Professor Pigs, right? The
yeah,
employees.
yeah. And so they throw him into a cell, and they tell him that he has a roommate, but he can't find his roommate. Meanwhile, we have Harvey Dent, Two Faces, and another one telling Robin that he's an icon, but he doesn't know why. They keep referencing this thing that he did, but he still doesn't remember it. Finally, we find that he is basically he manages to get out, but then he is quickly subdued again. And he finds that the person that is in his cell with him is Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. And so he doesn't know if this has something to do again with maybe some sort of fear gas or something. He sees images of his parents, his dead parents. He sees, he manages to break through, and he hears outside. He hears uh, who is Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, who is now this almost armor like robot type of a cyborg almost type of a thing, which is interesting. Keep that in mind because that's going to come back in a little while. And so we find out that what Nightwing did was he killed Batman. Okay, that was the big thing, that he killed Batman. And so, we'll pick up that. We end again with Batgirl basically being escorted into Arkham Asylum as well, and we see her with all of her,
Cybernetic monster Batgirl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what it was about this one. The art, just like I didn't care. I didn't find myself invested in it. I think again, this is just one of those situations where I don't read Nightwing, so the story just didn't fly out at me. The artwork was difficult for me, but
okay.
Got nothing on this one.
Is this the one that you liked?
Night Terrors read of the week. I'm eating all the crow right now, Paul.
Wow.
Every bit of it. Punchline. This was a fantastic single issue story. what they do in this one, the way that they take this is in the opening of it, Punchline's doing her villainous stuff. Batgirl shows up and she ends up killing Batgirl in just kind of like a lucky push moment where she falls onto a window and gets impaled by the broken glass. Upon doing it, she reaches her goal of breaking into Clock Tower. She wanted into the Oracle's Clock Tower, and she gets there, and she's starting to reap the riches of her reward when stuff in the Clock Tower starts coming to life and coming at her. One of them, most notably, being a cybernetic monster Batgirl, and that's where we end the story. But what was so fantastic about this was the actual breakdown of the character psyche, of going through the motions of being like let down that it's Batgirl and couldn't have been someone better. But what do I do next? Like, it was a true character study. You could have taken numerous villains and put them in Punchline's shoes, and they would have been going through the same range of emotions and responses. This was a true story that Danny Lore put a lot of effort into. This was not a throwaway book. She did not mail this in, or I don't know who Danny Lore is. I had to read this, go look at the name, like, who is this? This is fantastic. So as far as Night Terrors go, it's just a terror dream. But as far as quality writing and storytelling goes, this was damn good. And this is the one that I talked the most trash about going into this vid. I was primed to not like this book. And I thought that this was just so well done. Was it the most action-packed? No, but it had a lot in there. It just was so good. It just draws you in. I was shocked.
Right. I liked it too. I liked it because it had some of the same DNA as Nightwing. It kind of it was starting to see some connective tissue between things.
And I read this before Nightwing too. So when she popped up, and I'm like, "Yo, what?"
Yeah. So again, that indicates that there are ways, and we get that with Kara too. There are ways to cross over. It seems from one dream to another. I like this one as well.
Well, we learned in Superman. Was it Superman's? God, I think it was in the Superman one. It was in one of the issues. We learned that they are not an individual. It could have been the proper last week. They're in the Nightmare Scape. It's an actual place that they're in. That was thought to be a legend, thought to be myth. It was in Wonder Woman. So from crossing over in Superman, Batgirl showing up like that, and what Constantine was talking about in the beginning of Wonder Woman, that they're in an actual place. We're not in our heads. We're in a Nightmare Scape, which I thought was just a myth. This is the first time. So we got a lot of context to like the theme and the place and setting of this whole event in this week. It was very revealing now that we're kind of talking about it out loud.
Right. Is there anything better though than going into a comic where you think you're not going to like it and you end up coming away?
There really isn't. Not in terms of this hobby. Like that's what it's all about right there. Like I was about to hate read that book. Like I can't believe Paul's making me do this. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was good. Yeah.
And then we have Catwoman.
Cannot say the same for this bucket of trash.
Yeah, and again, I think part of it is, I know who Sister Mercy is just from the very first couple issues of Catwoman that I did pick up, but then I dropped off, and so I don't really know what's going on between the two of them. Other than what I can tell you at very high level here is Catwoman and Sister Mercy are basically are patrolling the streets and everything. It seems as though Catwoman has tried to basically take over and be like the new crime lord of Gotham City. But in this dream, she ends up meeting a Batman, a very, very early version of Batman, who hasn't even put out to the world that his name is Batman, and so he basically is still learning everything. He doesn't know anyone who's called the Joker. He doesn't know anything like that. And of course, what does Catwoman do? She automatically goes to bed with him. After the first night that they meet.
Yeah, this was cool. There's some elements to this that were cool because it starts off with the ball rolling. We as the viewers don't know what's what of the nightmare yet. And as it plays out, we realize Catwoman sees someone with clown paint on and wants to investigate further. Then we get a cool yin and yang, kind of like a battle of internal spirituality between her and her sister, wanting to have a connection that because of their differences, they can't land. And they do get a little bit into the character with this, but I find myself just not caring about Catwoman stuff. But there was some effort put into this. I'll be definitely honest with that. If you're into Catwoman and her story, this has got to be a good issue that really dives into that. And I thought it was fantastic when we get the realization that Catwoman knows Joker's operating. She got a clue and she wants to shut him down, but no one else has even heard of the Joker. This is like the first time he's come to town. So it's cool getting to see, in a way, like watching Batman meet Catwoman for the first time where she's known her for all these years. And it was a cool little twist there at the end. But it was kind of weird, the whole just banging them in the church all of a sudden. Like that. Like, what are we doing? What? Seriously.
One thing I think is interesting is so far in the Heroes issues, we've seen lots of grotesque type of, very terrifying type of visions to people. In all of the villains ones, at least 2 out of 3 anyway, their nightmare is they've killed their arch enemy or one of the heroes, So it's been drawing a distinction between what a hero's nightmare might be and what a villain's nightmare might be.
Yeah, or all these people are just lazy writers and come up with the same idea. Well, if they're a villain, they just got to be at 9 to 5, happy-go-lucky. Pleasantville, Poison Ivy, 9 to 5 Joker.
You still have the Joker one to plant your flag on.
God, it's so bad. It was so bad. What
So we
made it worse
have
for me is listening to people praise it. I'm like, did y'all actually read it?
right.
Right.
Um,
Teach their own.
so
Teach their own. Different mileage for
right.
different folks.
So we have 6 more weeks to go. Next week is Night Terrors #2, and the last of the first 5 issues of the 20 issue tie-in, and
That'll
then
be
we
the
have
halfway point.
yeah, and then we have 4 weeks next month, and then on the 29th, because next month is a five Tuesday month, we'll
Oh
get
snap!
we'll get the last one, which is the Night's End. So that comes out all by its own at the very end of August. So, but we still got lots to go, and still I'm very high on this. Not everything is clicked, but I still think it's been a very strong.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a solid event. There's no denying it at this point. I went into it a little mully grubbing because like the whole flow of the Dawn of DC, but this is not a mail-in event. They put a lot of effort into this. We're doing stuff that we don't do often. This isn't a cosmic crisis happening kind of thing. This is fun. This is really fun.
Absolutely. So, again, that's going to be it for this particular episode. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. But that's going to be it for this particular episode of DC Comics Deep Dive. I am Paul.
I am Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you are now leaving Sector 2815.
Well, pretty good.